hair that needs to be cut. And at this point, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait till the end of summer,
Yeah.
because now it's just gonna be ponytail season anyway. That's-
Ponytail season.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you need to verify.
You're the last
That was
one.
thought
That's
that was
one.
like
Yeah.
property
We're
management.
gonna,
Like,
just take a
just
while.
take a while.
I've been
We'll
with
let
the
it
flat
stay
for
on.
a year.
Yeah.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, all board members are present. We're going to have our newly and our re-elected board members take the oath of office. And we will start with Sarah.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of board member of the Coxsackie-Athens Central School District according to the best of my abilities.
And then Jamie Dorr.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of school board member of the Coxsackie-Athens Central School District according to the best of my ability.
And Ina Gilson.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of school board member of the Coxsackie-Athens Central School District according to the best of my ability.
Okay, I will now take nominations for president.
I'd like to continue with, nominate Mike Donahue.
Second. Is there any other nominations? Okay, I as a clerk will cast one vote for the president of the school board for the 2021 school year is Michael Donahue.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Board of Education President of the Coxsackie-Athens Central School District according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
You take over from here, it's all yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Judy, for everything. Okay, so we're gonna have nominations for vice president.
I would like to nominate Michael Petronelli as vice president of the Coxsackie-Athens School Board.
I'll second it.
Any other nominations? So carried. Michael Petronelli, vice president. Oh.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Board of Education Vice President Coxsackie-Athens Central School District according to the best of my ability.
Mike and Mike are back.
Yeah, Mike's better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's like twice so far.
Okay. Just want to say thanks again, and thanks, Mike, being willing to be the vice president, and it's been a real pleasure. Everybody here is just a terrific welcome, and
Thank you.
everybody you'll find is just a terrific community member here for all the right things, great values and great ideas and creativity that comes out of this group. So it's my pleasure and honor. Now, board committee memberships. So is this where we look at all
Yeah.
the committees and
Yeah,
decide if
yeah.
I know the new members are on every committee now. So we have a policy review committee, negotiating committee, school liaison committee, innovation committee, and audit committee. And board member orientation and expectations committee, superintendent's goals and evaluation, and Board of Education self-evaluation, representatives to the school, Safe Schools Task Force, and Facilities Committee. So board policy right now is Tara as the chairperson, David and Nicole.
And Ina has to join now, right?
She doesn't have to, we normally recommend new
Oh.
board members just so they become familiar with the policies. Okay. You're ready, you're on.
Thanks for throwing it out there.
I'd like to stay on.
Sarah?
Yeah, I like that. Now that we have it all, you know,
I know. Yeah.
beautiful.
And Nicole's not here, so what, do we put her on our?
We're gonna keep her on it.
She'll
Forward.
lose by default. You'll win.
We have no more than four?
Board's it.
Okay.
Okay, negotiating committee, Mr. Petchmali is the chairperson, Bart, myself, and Nicole again. She's gonna
Nicole's
be the
gonna do
winner.
everything.
I'll stay on.
I'll stay.
I'll stay. School liaison committee, that's Tara is the chair, Amy, and Maureen.
I'd like to spend.
Bart's on there too.
I'll stay.
Oh, Bart, oh yes, you're on this next week.
Okay, I'd like to stay on.
We need one person to come on.
Talking.
You'll come off, Bart? Okay. All right, so you're on.
Innovation committee, Bart, chairperson, David, Jamie, me.
I'll stay on unless somebody wants my spot.
What does the innovation committee do?
Talk about curricular things, the defiant readiness indicators is a big part of this year. They're part of the 2030 team this year. Visioning, like stuff, and talking about curriculum, and not when I say curriculum.
Just being innovative.
New
Yeah,
ideas.
New ideas to improve the schools in the learning mode of things.
Can I be on it, or does some, Jane, do you want to come off, or do?
Well, nobody else is.
Yeah, is there 3 or 4 people in it?
There's 4
There's
now.
4.
Okay. Now, if you don't want to come off, I'll.
Or we have Bart, Dave, Jamie, and Mike Donahue are currently on. So,
I would stay on it if I can.
okay.
And I'll come off.
I'll stay.
All right, thank you.
Arnie, you speak up too if you want to, would like to
Yes.
be on something.
Audit committee
There's just so much fun to do.
is Bart, chairperson, myself, Maureen, and Michael.
I'll stay.
I'm not dying.
It's the most thrilling committee out there.
Oh, yeah. It goes pretty quick. And that girl's real nice.
Okay, that's a possible open seat. If anybody wants to jump on it. Yeah, I'll stay. And
I'll stay.
And Bart, you said,
Yes.
so no takers, but I guess it can be 3 though,
Yeah.
if you'd rather not be on it.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
We can just put Nicole on any of them.
Yeah, she mentioned that.
Yeah. She loves audits.
All right, board member orientation and expectations.
I would love to come off of this one,
Okay.
if I can.
You just had the last meeting.
I had my first meeting.
First and last.
First and last.
David is the chairperson and Mike is.
I'll stay, it's,
I'll stay.
I'll join.
Jamie?
I think I was on it at one point when.
Okay. Representative to the Safe Schools Task Force. That's Michael as chairperson, Bart, myself, and Nicole. You want to stay?
sure.
Yeah. And Bart?
I'll stay unless somebody wants to join.
It's gonna be the group that kind of goes to, can go to safety committee meetings too.
Nicole?
I'll take Bart's spot if it doesn't sound like he's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bart's on his exit plan.
No, we're not trying to let that. Okay, superintendent's goals and evaluation, and board of ed, self-evaluation, Maureen is chairperson, myself and Nicole.
I'll stay.
And I will to Nicole, please. Anybody else, if you want to be on it.
There's a spot, there's an open
Yes.
spot.
Okay, facilities committee is Michael as the chairperson, Bart, Jamie, and Tara.
I stay put.
I'll stay.
I like this one.
Okay, popular. That's all of them. Thank you. Now, there's a long list of appointments. Can I just go through? Okay, so if you looked at 5A, would it be 10F? Is that what that's what I counted to this afternoon. I need a person for that. Okay, page. Okay. 5A to 10F, except for 7C, we'll talk about. 7D, we'll have to select somebody for that. Have a motion, consent,
So,
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. So, page 5, what? Okay, D, 7D. Need to designate a person as a Coxsackie-Athens School Board Representative to Boone County School Boards Association
Who's last year?
Executive Committee.
I was, wasn't it?
Yeah, me as well.
Oh, we didn't really,
We had the meeting in the fall at
one
Greenville.
meeting, right? Yeah, I'll stay. Unless somebody else wants to do it.
Motion, consent to have Bart remain as the representative to the school district.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
That's what that is.
So carried. Thank you, Bart.
Who was it born on?
Bart.
Bart, okay.
And
Yeah.
St. Luke's Cafe, I saw that was on there. Some part in that. Okay. I didn't know if that was the thing you had to.
Good.
Yeah, just, well, we have, it's not on here, but just liaisons to the cafe, the foundation,
Yes. That's,
then it's gonna be
Been
Eric
Bart.
Bart.
okay. Believe that, right? Good?
Yes?
Yeah.
I just didn't know if that, we had to vote, have that in here. I did not.
we will go forward. Yeah,
Do we need a vote on that, Judy?
We can read it in, yeah, that way it'll be.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, number 11, communications board discussion. Follow up on previous meeting clerical assignments.
But no, it came up, I think at the last meeting. So I could kind of explain here in your notes. So, the last several years, or actually, before I even got here, the high school, I think, was already part-time, yeah, and the middle school had been half, or not say half-time, 60%, 40% clerical. And actually, the last negotiations, we kind of cleaned that up with the clerical unit, what that meant and such. So, you know, each principal kind of determines how they have that person, what their day looks like. I mentioned the high school, that person's in the office 100% of the day, and the middle school is just a couple of lunch duties, and then the rest of the day she's in the office. So, with the shifting around, with the going back, the retirement of Tammy up in special ed and Rhonda moving up there, you know, we thought it would be good to balance that between the two elementaries the same way. So, and then have, at that time, a full-time clerical where the high school they could do more than just attendance. They could help out with athletics and some other duties. So that was the genesis of all that. In the meantime, she retired, or was going to retire tonight, I guess, effective tonight. So, as far as that goes, so in September, we'll have, each office will have a full-time 12-month clerical, and then another position in each office, which will be, on paper, 60% being 40% clerical.
But you're saying that if the elementary had decided to keep her 100%, they could have? That's what I'm reading here.
Right, whoever the person will be, they could be in the office 100% of the day. It's up to the principal.
So perhaps that person retired not knowing that?
I don't know.
I know she did, I have a letter right here.
Okay. But she was going to the high school.
But I still don't understand why she was going to the high school, especially if she could have stayed in the office 100% of the time.
All right. Devices.
No,
What's your board to say?
No,
Or more?
she was going to have a lot more to do in the high school. So, clear person.
Devices at our meetings?
So I think, actually Tara was asking about this.
Yeah, it was she. I don't really want to say it was me.
So, yeah, I don't, so I just brought up, if you'd like to have a device here, we can get you one if that.
I just was thinking there's a lot of paper, like you're printing every meeting, and sometimes we don't have all this stuff printed for us, which is fine, because it would be like the packets that you print out, but it would be nice to have some of that stuff here. So sometimes I do pull it up on my phone, which probably looks bad for, you know, a meeting, but I'm, you know, I wanna look at it and make sure that I have all the information. So it's something in Judy at the policy committee meeting saying why, you know, oh, if we had an iPad, I could look there instead of having to look on my phone, but I don't know how everybody else feels about that.
We used to have them.
That's what
Yeah,
Judy
we
had said.
first started,
I said that was before
we
me, I
said
guess.
clunkier laptops, but I believe we can go a little smoother way of operating, correct?
Yeah, I actually have some devices over here if you are inclined to use them tonight. You could. I mean, we could talk about if that's a device to take home, or I don't know, we haven't really had that discussion, so.
You don't need it at home.
Or,
No.
it would just be for here?
Yeah, just for the
Okay.
meetings, the once or twice a month that we have it,
We could make that happen.
just because there's a lot of.
It would either
Sure.
iPads or Chromebooks even, it's quicker.
Yeah, just
But
put
that,
it
you
in.
know, the Windows, it would be halfway through the meeting before I found it.
Yep.
So,
The iPads I have over here are brand new, out of the box. We figured you'd like to take a look at them. And the only thing is that I just have to turn off a setting so that you guys don't have to jump through a lot of hoops that the kids usually have to do, because we want to track what the kids are doing. We want to make sure they're not going on sites they're not supposed to, but we just have to turn that off for the meeting so you guys can quickly get to your information, but we can do that.
Yeah, because would we be able to pull up, like, if we sign on to the school site, just like pull up our full packet? Or no?
Well, I mean, we used to put the packet on the Board of Ed, on your section of the website.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing that because we've been doing a Google Doc with the attachments, so I guess that's something that needs to be decided, which way is more user-friendly, which way do you guys want it, and then we can go from there. If you want the packet on the website like we used to, we can go back to that.
Or you can just have it, like, or if you had the computer, and you can just
Right.
get all the hyperlinks on this one.
Yeah,
Right.
no, that would be,
So-
that would make sense.
It's up to you guys. Yeah.
No, as long as I get the email, then yeah, I can open it.
I would say just let
We'll
us
make it
know, like, if you do want a device at the meeting, so we can have them.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Because they'd have to access their own email, right?
Right, so that's what I mean by jumping through hoops. If you wouldn't be able to access your own email if I didn't turn anything off, so it'd be nice to know, if people are requesting devices to, do that prior to the meeting, maybe as a response to when the documents are sent out, something like that.
Could I have like the new iPad Pro?
We don't have that model in stock right now, but it is actually the newest 7th generation iPad
Is it?
over there now. Yeah. They just came in.
All right, so if we want one, we'll have one.
Yeah.
And you can
Alright,
just-
so I just,
You can just sign in your own Google account.
less paperwork.
Like I said, you're gonna turn the filter off, or not the filter, but the.
I just hate when,
wall.
yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah,
policy
the login
meetings,
piece.
like, we sat there and we had to like, it's a lot of stuff to have to print and have in front of them.
So we'll let you know, or Michelle? If individuals would like to have one, probably the day of the meeting, or?
Day of works.
Oh,
That works
okay.
for us. Yeah.
All right. Defining readiness, K through 12.
So get under one of the 3 board priorities, just, ensure all of our graduates graduate with life skills necessary to be successful. So this has been a year-long project of the Links team. We brought it back to the board on several occasions, including the Innovation Committee. So we finally kind of wrapped that up here this spring. And there are links here. The big bulk of that, your tables of short, just as the scorecards. So I just wanted to share it now. I thought during one of the retreats we could dive in a little deeper on this. But in general, what it is if you think of a scorecard, it's kind of tracking your progress. Right? And so this will be a way for students K-12 to track their progress towards being ready for the next level. So for an elementary kid, at the end of each year, my parents can see, okay, these are the big indicators that I can be successful in middle school. So obviously some common ones, reading and math and writing. Right? There's other ones, like especially for life ready, as far as attendance and some other areas we really want to focus on as a district in that regard. And the same with the middle school, and then at the high school, the commencement level, a little bit more detailed at commencement level. Most of those are all kind of research-based as well, and have shown that kids who have several of these attributes tend to go on and be successful, no matter what track, wherever they go, college or go right to a career, et cetera. If you look at some of the commencement ones, for instance, it's a little more, or maybe I'll call them light, but they're still important, I think. And like to register to vote is on there, is one of them. And again, they don't have to have them all to be college career life ready, but they have to have a majority of them. But there's some of those ones that we tend to forget, but also feel that are vital. We're graduating citizens here, hopefully, at CA. So that's an example. Attendance, of course, is a big one as well. Having some experience in a job site, whether it's having an actual job, part-time job, or job shadowing, or internships, when those ever happen again, in our world in that regard. So it's kind of broke it up, and what this scorecard will be is just again a way. And a lot of this data will kind of migrate in like from e-school data, which is already there. The other data will I'm going to have kids on several occasions during the year at the high school level check in on themselves, so to speak, and see where they're at towards reaching those indicators. The middle school and elementary ones are really an annual type of thing, but it's a conversation starter that we can have at parent conferences. We'll be at the table, so to speak, along with the report card. So as we have that conversation, a deeper conversation about grades and test scores in particular, we can talk to parents about we truly believe your child is there's a whole child here, not just a testing machine. So these are some of the things we believe are strong indicators that your kid can be successful moving forward. And we think they're all doable for our kids, and there's some, if you notice, there's some specifically for our special ed population as well. In there, that was some feedback we got from teachers and some students in that regard. So it's a lot of work that's been put into this, and a lot of thought by the teacher leaders and feedback from the faculty at large and staff at large on this. I think if anything, what's been going on the last 3 months, it makes this even more important than where we were, especially every day you're seeing articles where colleges are not looking at SATs and ACTs or putting them aside, and I think it's a good step in the right direction towards the testing session we had here the last 2 decades here. So, and hopefully we'll pause and again another year coming up with that. So it's a scorecard. It's a conversation starter at conferences. It's a way for families and students to track their progress towards being ready for where they want to go. It's not intended to be another thing to do. It's really just a way to check off what I'm already doing matters. I participate in sports. That matters. That means I'm going to be ready for a career. I'm a leader in a club or an activity. That matters. I come to school on a regular basis. That matters. For me to be ready. So I think it puts it out there. These good habits and these positive attributes are really they matter. They're important, and so we want to put it out there, and measure it, in a certain way, and allow our students hopefully to take ownership of it too, and track their own progress towards demonstrating as many of those attributes as possible. But again, they don't have to do them all. But they need to, whatever it might be, depending on the level, how many they have to demonstrate. So we're going to roll this out in the fall. We've been doing the commencement the last couple of years, so this year, of course, when we being here, it's a little hard to track kids down and be able to do it, but we did have a decent number of kids who did self-assess themselves. We're going to work on kind of having that really done junior year, and then it's kind of polished off their senior year going forward. But for the younger grades, this will be the first year for elementary and middle. And some of those will be embedded in our report cards. The personal dispositions are going to be in the report cards K-12 starting in September. Right? And so they're the 4CS, so it's creative thinking, being a critical thinker, being a collaborator, being a communicator, and being self-directed. So those 5 attributes are going to be on each report card K-12. And the teachers will be recording whether the kid is kind of meeting expectations, he's a little, not quite there yet, along the way. So that'll be something we're really putting out there. I think it's important for our parents to know where our kids are at in those demonstrating areas. And yes, it's not like, you take a 100-question quiz, you get an 80, you know what you got. There's obviously subjectiveness to it, but we've argued with each other in a good way that we understand that every test is subjective, every assessment is subjective. Even those 100-question multiple choice tests are subjective, because we decide what the questions were on those tests. As a teacher, I decide what's important in that history test. Doesn't mean it always is. Looking around, it's apparently a lot of history teachers do a good job of that lately. At least some adults are. But so it's I think we're taking a good spot in all this and putting out in front what matters, what's important in regards to making sure our kids are ready after graduation. So the diploma needs.
So is this for grades 8, 12, or 9, 12? Is this
K-12.
K-12, yeah, but for the higher grades, you said the lower grades, this is brand new, so.
Yeah, K-8 is
9,
brand new.
12, is it something we're adding to or completely new, where the teachers now are admin tracking things, but.
Yeah, it's really just been seniors we've been letting, having them kind of self-assess, so this is just, the high school teachers have been aware of it, and have been looking at it. And so we tweaked the high school one as well from what it had been the last year and this year. And kind of made it a lot cleaner, so to speak, as far as what each one was. So, again, there shouldn't be anything that teachers have to do, where it's like, oh my God, I gotta.
But it's
grade
gonna
it or
show up
something.
if Bart needs more help or something, Dave can look, is gonna red flag Dave that he's not doing.
Yeah, teachers will have that, they'll be able to see for certain things, yeah. Yep. So another one too is wellness is on there. Our phys ed department did a fabulous job, I think, in updating their standards, if you will, to do the standards, but and narrowing it down to 6 key components. And so at the elementary school, that was going to come on the report card as well. All right, so we're going to take away a lot of these, the pleasure of having class things, and put specific wellness and phys ed indicators on there. And the librarians have done the same, K-12 for information literacy. And so, again, the elementary report cards, that those will be like the comments, in lieu of comments, or so the librarian will be indicating where each child is in regards to those indicators. So it's a little, has a little more meaning in a lot of ways, so.
So this, you said didn't really start this year, that's why there were a lot of seniors that had nothing next to their names?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, but the goal would be for all the seniors to have at least one of these areas?
Oh yeah, in fact, one of our 2022 goals is that 100% of our students graduate life ready.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was looking through you had sent that link with all the
Yeah,
diploma, all the awards and all that stuff, and some of them had this, and then there were some names that didn't have anything.
right.
So I just didn't know, the goal is though for everybody to have at least something that they're ready for after, not just the diploma.
Correct.
Okay, and what was it that we were doing a couple years ago, that this is replacing?
It was similar, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
Parent complained about something that we weren't doing for graduation, they used to do something else.
Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Oh,
that's what it
yeah.
was. Okay.
Hall of Fame.
Okay, and this is kind of like,
Well, I don't say I replaced it, because that was just,
no, I know, but you did things to prepare yourself
Yes.
for out of college before, for that, you had to fill out paperwork and do all kinds of stuff to get on the Hall of Fame, so this is kind of just a different avenue,
And you just, for this year's class, and like I said, a lot of kids, this is obviously not the year to
no.
track kids down, we try to put through.
Easier if we can
Have a,
get them in the auditorium and say, fill
Yeah.
this out now.
Well-
I think a lot of kids filled it out, but,
yeah.
there
So
comes
we're
a
gonna
point
actually
where
go
they're
back
like,
and
I'm
take-
done reading your
Yeah, oh,
emails.
definitely,
Yeah.
I literally, I got that from
Yeah.
this year, but it's good to know that the goal is, that they'll be ready for something after school.
And not only they'll be ready, they'll know they're ready.
Yeah, and a lot of these-
Confidence in my abilities has a lot to do with 18-year-olds.
Yeah, and this isn't asking them to jump through crazy hoops. It's
Stuff
just-
most of them are already either doing, and maybe not at this level, but now maybe they need to get up a little,
Yeah,
whether it's community service or, some other thing they dabble in. Now, they need to do a little more of that,
mhm.
Good. Good.
Bree, what is the process that the student performance is being monitored, and they're doing these steps? I mean, looking at next year, say an 11th grader comes in, I mean, at what point does somebody, a staff member, look at this to measure their success and have a dialogue with them? Where does that take place?
I think we've been talking about it, that definitely they're supposed to be with their counselors once a year minimally, to do their next year's, so that can be part of that conversation individually. I think we can have big group discussions, like, each year, let's get the 10th graders in, at some point and go through this, have them go through it and see where they're at, so they all hear the same message, and then they follow up with the individual individual counselors or, would be the first step in that process.
But typically, they would see a guidance counselor how many times a year?
Once at least, minimally once.
Right. Just wondering if that's enough to push them forward in this process.
Yeah.
So,
Say no. Yeah, with
No, I agree, yeah, that's like I said,
That's
that'd just be the
Yeah.
one very small step.
Yeah.
So, I think we're trying to think of ways, again, we're trying not to add, more to people's plates, so to speak,
right, I understand.
in that regard. So one of the ideas we just rattle around was like, utilizing our assistants too, in this process, our teaching assistants and aides who now really have good relationships with our kids, if they're calling them every day, or once a week, during the last few months there, and have them kind of take this on. Because they were the aides and support, aides and assistants were very positively vocal about this, because they know.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, so I think that would be a good resource to use and have them, so to speak, for a better way to say, adopt several kids or a group of kids and follow them through this, and be there, nudge them along. And I think they would step up to that.
So I think, as Mike was, so for younger kids, you might be able to identify where they could have more help. Because I remember we had talked about being able to identify sometimes kids in the first, second, third grade, that they're gonna have trouble.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
It's sad in a way to say that, because, well, if we know, why aren't we doing anything about it?
Right, well, that's what I was
Yep.
thinking, if you identify that, then
Yep.
what plans can be put in place so that
Exactly.
they can refute that.
Yes. Terrific.
Okay. Superintendent updates, end of year reviews.
So I asked everybody, the administrative team, to kind of give each of you like a one-page, again, that was the hard part, a one-page. Just kind of, what were the highlights, within the abilities for the year, and just kind of, hit on a couple key things here. So I thought that was kind of a good way to do it in that sense. And again, we all really could have probably written a book, for each of them. So that was kind of for your information at this point. But I think it'll be some of the things they put on there. There's some obviously data on there as well, performance data of what we have. The things kind of stopped midstream, if you will. So I think it's just be a place to start our conversation when we have our retreats here in the middle of the summer and stuff as well. So.
Okay, transition and transformation planning updates.
So I provided, again, just some guidance documents that we were part of here the last couple of weeks through our EAD service there, which is our research service that we belong to, which was kind of, had some good ideas, again, from a national perspective in that regard. Everybody's aware that New York has not come out with any specific guidance yet. I don't know when that'll occur, mid-July is what people are saying, though I wouldn't be surprised if the governor holds off on doing that. You saw my weekly updates today. I sent out to everybody, the staff community, just put my political hat on for a second. When you're out, saying so-and-so in another state opened up too early, and now look at you, boom, boom, boom. I think it's gonna be hard for him to reopen until he's really, really ready, because he does not want to have to eat his words for that. So, it is what it is in that regard. On the flip side, looking at the guidance from like New Jersey and Connecticut, not only because they border us, their guidance for reopening is fairly flexible in things. They obviously say wear a mask, and 6 feet, of physical distancing, and but their guidance is pretty much, if you can get kids in your schools, get them in your schools, as much as possible. So it's interesting how people are interpreting 6 feet. I interpret it as 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet, and so that's the next person. Some people are interpreting 6 feet and another 6 feet for the next kid. because everybody's got their own 6-foot circle, and those circles can overlap. And so that, now you got 8 kids in a room, you know, at the most, so I don't interpret that way, I just speak from
The
everybody.
one document you sent us, was, I don't remember which state it was doing a minimum of 3 feet if they were sitting.
Yes, that was the actually, that was the, I think it was, that was in the, what do you call it, American Academy of Pediatrics or Pediatricians.
Yeah, and I was like, that's, you know.
So again, it's all over the place, and who's, I guess, depends on the day.
That you could at least fit some kids in a room though.
But even 6 feet, I kind of went around last week, and well, it was the hottest day, I don't know why I did it that day, but went in the classrooms and moved chairs and desks around. If we just use, you know, our own 6-foot circles, but just 6 feet away from each other, you know, we could probably fit about 20 kids in each of our rooms, the regular classrooms,
Yeah.
not the, you know, the smaller ones. So, and if we were in New Jersey, we'd be able to do that. You know, as far as the way their guidance is written, I don't know what New York's gonna say, you know, in that regard. So I think that the big driver of all this is gonna be how specific they get to how they define physical distancing in the classroom and on the school buses. New Jersey said, you know, the recommendation of CDC is 1 kid in a seat, every other seat, and that would be like 8 kids on a bus, you know, or something like that, right? But then the next paragraph, you know, says, but we understand that's just not feasible, so if all kids have a mask on, you know, then they could be on the bus. And of course, assigned seats, try to have siblings sit in the same, you know, do what you can, you know, in that regard. So, yes, we wait here in New York to see, and college guidance is out for New York State. And that guidance says they can come back, and schools should try to do whatever they can to physically distance kids. I think it's a lot harder lift at the college level than it is K-12 for a variety of reasons. You can't control them once they step off campus, you know, and that's going to be, or you have kids on campus and kids off campus, and how do you manage that, you know, with that. So we're having a lot of discussions about different ideas, different models of how to do this, you know, and of course within each model there's a ton of different versions of that. You know, and it seems like a new one comes out every week. You know, somebody comes up with an idea, oh, that might work, you know. So we're just gonna, you know, not go too far down any rabbit hole with, you know, too much deep planning. We're just kind of, okay, you know, I'm putting just kind of thought questions out. Waiting till Monday, giving everybody some break here. The admin team, okay, if we could do this, let's say we could put 20 kids in a room, they have to be separated. What's our furniture situation? You know, some of the elementary schools have just tables in the classrooms, or, you know, don't have enough 20 tables in there, so it's, you know, what do we have in storage? How can we do this to make this work? You know, as an example, and, you know, and everything from that to hand sanitizer, soap and paper towels and all that. You know, what do we have and what do we need for some of those things? So we'd be thinking about doing that now, because some of them are like almost regardless of the scenario we're in. I mean, remote is the simplest for as far as getting the building ready, because nobody's here. You know, maybe the teachers can be. You know, in the fall, be here to remote house. They have to be in their kitchens. You know, but the other types of models, either hybrid or everybody's back in some form. You know, obviously that's a lot heavier lift here. You know, as far as just everything, food, service, cleaning, you know, and everything in between. So it's fascinating to watch people's comments and you know and you know sides and you know and unfortunately it's political and all that. But I think until we know in our state is really you know.
So what's the, not that I wanna know or get into it, 'cause I don't care, I do, but, difference between 20 kids in the classroom, 6 foot apart, versus bell rings and now you got 250 kids going down the hallway. Is there?
Yep, so there's a lot of ideas on how to manage that. You have staggered start and stop times, even if, you know, so not everybody, second period doesn't end at 9 o'clock for everybody. There's talk about teachers come to the kids, you do more, I don't use the word tracking, but
Yeah, some of them are calling
You know,
it
but,
calling
like,
and stuff.
Up to 8th grade, you probably can pretty much get away with having the same cohort of kids be together the whole day, or almost the whole day. High school is, it's almost impossible to do that. I mean, you can do it somewhat, but, you know, the core classes maybe, you could do that more. So that's why there's different models that are out there. One that I put out there actually was, I don't know if they have a name for it yet. So if I'm a 10th grader and I'm taking geometry, I come in September and I take geometry for the next 6 weeks. Like that's at my morning class, 3.5 hours, I'm in geometry. I don't, you know, leave the room unless I go to the bathroom or something, you know. And then I'm done in 6 weeks with geometry. If I could come to school and with the same 20 kids the whole day, so to speak, and I got, you know, so it's like an elementary model. And then the next 6 weeks I take ELA. And the next 6 weeks I take social studies. You know, and by the end of the year you can get through minimally 6 classes. You know, maybe to have a morning session and then a lunch and then a shorter afternoon, and you can kind of have both ways short, you know, depending on the group of kids. So kids are still getting minimally 6 credits during the year, which keeps them on track to graduate, you know, and all that. Now the big caveat to that is there can't be readings exams in June, because if I took math in September, October, it's gonna be a rough one in June if I gotta sit for a readings exam. So.
That's a really long chunk of math. 3 hours? Oh,
Well, whatever. I mean, it's, yeah, you gotta.
that'd be.
You gotta look at that.
But then you're done with it in 6 weeks.
I
You're done with it before Halloween. So, but again, it's just, everybody's just trying to come up with different ways to figure this out, you know, to try to meet as many of the guidelines as possible for keeping kids safe, if there are here. You know, and of course there's the AB models where half the kids come, you know, either every other day, every other week, every 2 weeks. You know, people talking about all those different versions. You know, where you have half your kids here for 2 weeks straight and the other half are at home, and then they flip. You know, or 1 week, or, you know, or stuff like that. Or another model is everybody comes, but you only have so many kids in a classroom, and then the other overflow kids are in other parts of the building, you know. So there's a lot of variations to this, and they all have pros, they all have cons, you know, to it. You know, and there's things that, how many kids are gonna be kept home? You know, how many kids are gonna be kept home from the, you know, so what do we do there? I mean, and first, what do we have to do? I don't know. Because usually if somebody keeps the kids home, they're taking care of their homeschooling. It's on them. But will that change because of this? Will we be required to offer some type of remote learning for that situation? But then, just as important, not bigger, what about our staff? You know, so we're going to have staff who, for you know, whatever reasons, don't want to be here, can't be here possibly because of their own, you know, wellness or somebody in their family type of thing. So there's a lot of thought into that, and substitutes and you know, rolls out that way. It's like down here. But everybody's in the same boat. Everybody, you know. Interesting conversations. Well, I can say is we'll just do whatever we're going to do to try to make this the safest place possible. You know, that we can make it. You know, if we're here. So, you know, if we're remote, like we were in the spring, you know, what are we going to do to make it? You know, it was good in the spring. How do we make it better? You know, how do we make it better in the fall? Or, you know, whatever you thought it was in spring, how do we make it better if we're in that road, in that mode, sometime, you know, next school year. So.
And as far as facilities go, and sanitizing the facilities, anything new gonna take place in cleaning the school buildings?
Have we gotten those in yet?
There's spray, no,
We've ordered misters
yeah.
to disinfect the rooms. One for each building at the moment. Hopefully that'll be enough. So, I mean, there'll be another layer of cleaning. There'll be cleaning and then disinfecting. It's interesting if you look at the guidelines. It's not as much as you think. I mean, I don't think it's what you think. You know, there's stuff you should be doing like all the time during the day, cleaning doorknobs, cleaning the railings and the stairs, those types of, but Cheryl did a fantastic job there. Cheryl Mathis. Every time we touched the rail stuff,
I saw.
Cheryl was there when they were
She's on it.
like, so they were like,
I was watching that video, I was like, damn, she was on it.
I feel guilty for touching them.
So, you know, and they don't, and it's just not as much, I thought there'd be more, like, they would, you gotta like disinfect and, you know, whatever, Clorox the whole place every night, and they're not saying that.
Okay.
So we'll do whatever we're required to do. In other words, if you have a kid in a room, so that room has to have done to it each night, you know, during the day or each night, we'll certainly meet those requirements minimally. And that's even still up to,
Is that gonna be on our dime too, at added cost?
oh yeah.
That might be something we can submit to FEMA for reimbursement, but that's gonna be a
Right,
long
yeah.
process.
Do we have proper filters to filter out those?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, it's interesting, I haven't figured this out, but the more circulation, the better. Which you
Yeah.
sometimes think doesn't mean it spreads around more, but I don't, so windows are gonna be open, we're gonna have to look at our heating and how we heat the buildings, because we're gonna have all our windows open in October, I don't need the heat running too.
Because we had to wait on the,
And then we got, like,
Energy.
you said filters, right?
yeah, there was something about
They have the
some
filters.
sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday Como with the filters in malls when they open up or something, they have to change them all.
Yeah, so, I can't imagine that, but, I mean, ours are just, we just suck air in from the outside,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't circulate.
fresh air intake, yeah.
Yeah, so, having classes outside is another topic that they recommend, you know, try to do as many classes outside as possible. You can't just pop in the grass and the mud, you gotta have places for them to go.
Bees.
So like, you know, the first month, we're all gonna build picnic tables and, wonder about that.
Start ordering sanitizer now before they all go out of stock in August.
We've been doing that.
Yeah, we have the supplies.
Everyone will wanna order it right before school starts.
In mass.
Nobody will have it.
10,000 minutes.
I think I shared, there was an article for the National Association, they were about $500 per kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$500 per student it's gonna cost to reopen.
Do we have some moms that can start sewing masks now for the kids?
Well, they should be doing that regardless, because we're not sure if, I know that the staff is gonna be mandated to wear masks. So
Yeah.
we will probably be required to provide them if they don't have their own, but for students, it's optional. So therefore, we wouldn't have to provide them with masks.
But at least staff we should have.
Yeah, we've already purchased the school
Oh,
ones,
okay.
yep.
I was gonna say, it's
10,000?
cool ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10,000.
Just throwaway ones or reusable?
No.
We've got a combination, but most of them are the one usage paper masks. But I would assume that most staff are gonna come with their own.
You could just wash them.
That way we'll have them if they don't come with their own.
So, you know, like, if we get guidance either from state ed or from the governor's office, then we will invite you folks to be part, you know, and get going on finalizing the details. I mean, like I said, we're trying to get certain things in place already. We know we gotta do X no matter what, but we're gonna make sure that's kind of already taken, you know, we got that settled, but, yeah. A lot of talking, a lot of thinking, writing down ideas, pick the best ones for the situation we're in.
We need to pick a midsummer retreat date, 2 of them.
I would suggest 2, only because of what I just said, in case we have a retreat date and then we find out the next day, oh, now we got the reopening plan, we gotta finalize or put together. So, ours canceled.
So look at your calendar.
Geez, mine's wide open.
Well,
Trips.
I go on
No
vacation.
trips?
Not this
So,
year.
right, no, he's not out of state, yeah.
Like going anywhere this.
No, it's supposed to be in Europe right
Really?
now. We were.
Oh, yeah, you were.
Yeah, that's out.
Well, they didn't let us go.
No. I'm open for any day in July, same in August.
The,
It's not the 24th.
what's a Friday?
It's Friday.
Yeah, that day?
It's my anniversary too.
All right.
Oh, you want it the 24th?
You want the 20th?
No.
You don't?
23rd or the 30th, those are Thursdays. Or the 6th.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, for July, yeah. 23rd or the 30th for July, keep it on a Thursday.
Sure.
I'm
I
good.
prefer the 23rd.
23rd?
Then you want a second date?
This is a backward.
What time? Are we sticking 6:30 or?
Choose earlier, 6, oh, well, let's, 6.
I'm good with 6.
Yeah, 6 is good.
6?
So there's a regular meeting on the 20th.
August.
August 20th.
Right, yeah.
So August 20th is the second date?
No, it's a regular meeting.
Oh,
So,
it's regular meeting.
If we do on the 23rd, can we do the 6th? Of August? We've got every other week.
Yeah.
So what's the
If you wanna do 2 days in a row, is that easier?
This is one, just the board, and then
No.
we would add.
It is not that easy.
Okay. I just thought
I never say
of,
that.
you say the 23rd?
Is it, the one year we did the Board of Ed and the admin one, like right after
Same night.
our Board of Ed meeting. Is the 20th,
So we could do August 20th,
Two.
make a short business meeting. or-
yeah, we did like 6 o'clock start for that one.
Yeah, that'll work. That works.
Is that, I don't know, I'm just thinking less
Okay.
time out.
And then do the admin that night?
Yeah, because most of them are here.
Yeah, they're already here, that's a good idea.
Should we
Are
start
any of you
at
guys
6?
going on vacation?
Not on August 20th, I don't see, at least on our shared calendar, I don't see anything yet. 23rd, it might be. So July 23rd at 6, and then we'll do the August meeting, we'll start at 6 o'clock.
I think we were still out here by 9.
We are, we'll always be
Yeah.
out here at 9, that's the rule.
Yeah.
I write that now.
Cinderella comes.
So the one just with us is the 23rd of July.
Yep.
Have to work on an agenda. Yeah. Okay, school services updates, 2020 capital project updates.
Well, I have one more thing, sorry.
Everything's going very well with the tennis courts and the roofing project has started. We encountered one thing with the tennis courts. They determined that the survey that was done for the project 2 years ago was not accurate in terms of determining the elevation of the land. So there's a drop behind the concession stand. So they consulted with Randy and Eric, and there's some sort of retaining wall that's gonna be built there. I showed Mike some of the pictures, but they don't expect it to be a terribly costly item, but that's in the works, and they will be doing that. In terms of the roofing project, that's going smoothly as well. They did encounter an area of ponding that isn't working with the drain that's up there, so they have to figure out a way of building that area up so that it drains properly, or move the drain to where the ponding is happening, so they're working out the details of that. The other thing, on top of Coxsackie Elementary's roof, there is a skylight that is essentially a piece of plexiglass. So they're going to be replacing that. That wasn't in the original specifications, but, so we'll see some sort of change order for that.
Gonna close it in or a new skylight?
A new skylight. It's in the stairwell, so
Mhm.
it's a good idea to have it there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Egress, but, so anyway, that was. Well, that's really it, but everything seems to be going well. The weather has been cooperating, and the contractor's been working right along, and we haven't had any issues, so.
So it's an operable skylight if it's egress?
It's not operable, no. It's a fixed skylight, it's just for light.
So what do you need, how does it work with egress then?
No, it just lights the
Oh, for the
stairwell.
stairwell, all right,
That's
all
what I
right.
meant, yeah, sorry. Does anybody have any questions about the project and nothing moving forward?
No, they seem to be humming right along.
They are, they are. So,
Are they putting, where the old tennis courts were, are they putting in new drains in that area?
no,
No, just,
no, they just saw that when they.
They're gonna grade it, and, you know, then it's signed, it'll roll off into the
But they raised it though, right? So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, it's raised up, because it'll hopefully
Try to
run
slope
where it's
it a
supposed to
little
run.
hopefully.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're familiar
Yeah.
with our lack of drainage here.
And
If anybody should see where the side's been carved out, that'll be sod.
The previous capital project, 2016?
Yeah, last week we had some training on our hard access system, and a little bit on the cameras, but we're still waiting for the manufacturer to provide the training on the cameras. So we know how to use, it's called, a program called Magic Monitor. And we haven't gotten that yet. They've been closed down and their employees have not been traveling for this training. So we're just waiting for the green light on that so they can come in and take care of that training. One other thing for me is the district-wide safety plan. I was holding off because I expected to have some revisions due to the COVID virus, but I consulted with Needham Associates and they said that right now there's no regulations out, there's no changes, so just move forward with the plan. So I pulled up a draft and sent it out to last year's committee to take a look at it. There's some things that I'm going to add in terms of our panic buttons and some of the enhancements we've had over the last year and make those changes. But it's on the website for public comment or public view. And when we come together on August 20th, we'll have to adopt that policy so we can meet the deadline for having it submitted to the state. So,
Okay. Thank you. Summer school updates.
My apologies for running back and forth and double booked this evening. So just a quick update on summer school. As you know, we're going to have the special education summer school here on campus. So Katie arranged, the nurses did a wonderful training the other day for all the summer school staff on all the lovely things that we have to do to address the COVID issues. So that went very well. And she did record it so that we'll have it available should we also need it come September. So, so that's going to be great. We're very excited to have the kids come on campus and to at least give a little bit of a trial run of how September could possibly look for us. So that part is exciting. For the remote part, so again, we were just doing 7th and 8th grade remotely. We have had some parents who have opted out of it because they just feel that their students have spent enough time on technology lately and that they just wouldn't get a lot out of it. So we are opening it up to some other students who might be interested, just so that we have a nice robust number of students participating in that. Again, that's going to be run by 2 teachers in a project-based learning style. So they're going to incorporate all the different subject areas into some critical thinking styles. At the high school level, we are going to be offering, just for those couple of kids who have failed a class, who need to pass the class, that ends in a Regents exam. We're happy to say we don't need any math, so woohoo. All of our math students have passed that needed to take a Regents exam. So we will be offering it for a couple of kids in science, specifically in earth science. And then we have a couple of students who need social studies and a couple of students who, do we have 2 who need ELA? I'm looking at Freya, sorry.
Yes.
So we'll be helping again, which I think I mentioned last board meeting, so if I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but I can never remember who I say what to. Really the whole purpose of the summer school is going to be to cajole those students to finish up the work that they didn't finish up prior to the end of school. So we have some great warm and nurturing parental pain naggers that are going to get these kids to just finish what it is they haven't been able to finish. So hopefully that'll be very successful. We will have our Apex program going as well over the summer that we've had for the past 8 summers, I believe. And that is for students who need to make up some credits in order to graduate. So we usually have a few students who take that during the year, and then we have a bunch of students who are involved with Apex over the summer. Any questions on summer school?
Mr. Wager's running the one.
Yes, Mr. Wager and Mr. Prey are running the 7th and 8th grade one. Then up at the high school, we have Mrs. Dyer, Mrs. Collins, and Mr. Guile.
It starts Monday.
Yes. Any other questions on summer school? Right, and then just the other thing that you have, I know Randy was gonna hand out, we tried to compile for you all the fabulous professional development we were able to have our staff participate in this year. So we tried to designate on there as well whether it was something that staff went to. So there are some conferences that we sent people out to. Then there were lots of trainings that they had here on campus. Some of them were provided by a BOCE's embedded staff professional, our literacy coach, or our teacher leaders, or lovely administrators. So just wanted to give you kind of a rundown of what the things were that we were up to this year. You'll see a few things did specifically relate to remote learning, but that will probably be something that we'll spend even more time on next year, depending on the format we find ourselves in. Any questions?
Thank you. Okay. Any public input?
There was no public input.
Okay. Superintendent's recommendations, program matters, policies. You want to comment on the policies, Brandon?
The policy committee met and we looked over after the attorney looked at these policies that are right here. This was to finish off us going through the book and making it a lot smaller than what it was. So we finally have finished it out, and these are the last couple that we have left that we are looking at rescinding. They're all either educational law or just law in general. So we don't need to have that in our policy book. It's just something that people need to follow. Any questions about any of the policies that we have?
Okay. So can we vote on them with everything else? Or
Let's do the policy separate.
separate? Thank you. Okay, so need a motion consent for A1, policies rescinded.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Then, I think we go from B, all of B.
Can we pull out Ms. Legus for retirement and do that separately, please?
All of B except for B2. So we need a motion consent.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mike, we have a read-in. We're reading in summer custodian Paul Biston.
Okay,
We have a discussion item.
yes.
I emailed Randy just to reacquaint myself with, to get some information on the roles and duties and functions of the coaches and advisors. And he graciously sent me a lot of information that I'm still reading through on that. One question I do have is, how are these candidates selected? Is there a selection process? Number one, and do you have a lot of staff members seeking these positions at all? Or do you have to go out and solicit them to take part?
Just in general or anything for specific positions?
No, just for the teachers' leaders.
Oh,
Coaches
teachers,
and
I
advisors.
thought you meant like club advisors.
No, this is the coaches and
Okay, yeah.
advisors, teachers' leaders.
Yeah, the professional partners, like mentors, fancy name to say mentors, we work with the CATA for that, so they kind of help, they solicit with our help. you know.
Yeah, and we usually do have a good number of people apply for those specific roles, because usually when the application goes out, we're not 100% certain how many new staff we're gonna have, so lots of people apply, because some people will apply because they know there's specifically going to be, say, a new PE teacher, so a PE teacher will apply because they wanna mentor the new PE teacher. But then we also get a lot of other applicants, just in case there's somebody who's gonna go out on a leave or something during the year.
And does it go by like the number, or the people that have the most number of years in a teaching position, are they ahead of the list, so to speak, or what is the process?
Usually what happens is I get together with the two professional partner coordinators, so the two people from the CATA, and we just talk about who's the best fit. There are criteria, so you have to be a tenured teacher, you have to have worked in this for 5 years, you have to have, if you have some experience, because this has changed a little bit over the years, there used to be this whole mentor program you could go to up at BOCES. So one of the requirements used to be you had to have gone through that program. Unfortunately, BOCES doesn't offer that program anymore. So we do a little of our own internal training, so that's no longer a requirement. But they try and take a look at people who've either successfully done it in the past, people who match kind of what the skill set of the person coming in is in terms of content. We try to match personalities a little bit too.
Okay, that answers my questions. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. The motion consent for B2, retirement.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So carried. So, business matters, C1, 2, and 3. Leslie, is that all? Maybe I have 1 through 4. A motion to consent for business matters, C1 through 4. Second?
Jamie,
Yeah.
first and then second.
Okay. Any discussion? What's that?
We did B.
I have the one that was sent, so maybe this is up to date. Three. All right, well, we can do this part now, and then I'll go back. Yeah, so, any discussion on the business matters? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, this department, so resignations, this must be B. B, personnel matters 3, resignations. Probationary appointments. So, can I have a motion consent for those?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Labor relations.
Yeah, so, last minute entry. Randy left us something about.
Yeah, so at the bottom of your packet, there should be a little, like a one-page sheet of paper. About labor relations services. We don't do this in executive session, but I think it's more appropriate to do it out in public at this point. So, this call kind of has happened here in the last 2 weeks or so, it seems like, but we've had we've purchased a labor relations service through Cap Region BOCES for, I think, at least 8 years, at least 8 years. It's been a great service. They come when we have contract negotiations. They work with us if we have to do any type of counseling or any type of personnel matters, issues and stuff like that. So they make sure everything we do is legal, fair, etc. They work with the NICET rep, to do all that as well. So we do it the right way in that regard. So again, they've helped us bargain with our agreements.
deal with any issues we have with employees, withdraw any types of letters of council reprimand, they work through that. Civil service they help us with. Another service they provide is if we need it, they can be a hearing officer for superintendent hearings, which I've used on occasion if I happen to know the student personally or whatever. I'll have, in this case, Kevin Herron do the hearing as opposed to me. And they just kind of can provide general human resources guidance, such as record keeping and things like that. So those are the service we've had. I'm very happy with it. It's been Robert Zordan's been our labor relations specialist, and Kevin Herron's the attorney that backs him up. With that, Kevin actually, most of his career, he was one of the attorneys for NYSA. So to the information there, he retired, and then Cap Region hired him. So he definitely sees both sides of things, which is good with that. So we found out a few weeks ago that Cap Region was just trying to end a service, and we were messing around with things. So they actually laid Kevin off and made it so miserable that Robert retired for that. And then they notified us that if we wanted to get out of the service, we could, and there'd be no, for next year, there'd be no charge to us, which is what we did right away, because we didn't want to be charged for a service we weren't going to get for that. So in the meantime, when this was kind of starting, Robert started to have some conversations with me and Leslie a little bit, and they want to continue to do something. They don't want to stop working with that. And so what I would want to propose today is that we, as a school district, create a labor relations service. And then what that would be is, we create a couple of these positions, 2 positions. And we would purchase their service, so to speak, to do labor relations, not only for us, but then for other school districts that they've had relationships with in the past, for that. And so on the backside, they've been having conversations, and several of the districts are very much interested in doing this, having this approach to things. Right? And so how that would work is we would then we would create an intermunicipal agreement with these other districts, like a contract, which we do a lot of these already with other districts for other things, in some ways. So let's say, school district X up in the North Country wants to purchase this labor relations service. They would pay us a fee. We would negotiate, and then it'd be kind of close to what they're paying now, minus the BOCES they're getting out of it, so they're not going to be paying more for that. At the end of the day, what it would end up being is we would be receiving the same services we were receiving as of yesterday for free, and possibly even a profit. So let's say, for instance, the total cost of Robert and Kevin's services is $65,000. Right? And so by contracting out with, let's say, 6 other school districts, minimally, that's how much we're going to charge amongst those 6 districts, if not more, for that. And so, and this would all be written out by our attorney, our school attorney. And so the understanding would be that we, as a CA, would not have a cost to this. So we're basically getting a service we're paying for now, $25,000 we would be getting for free.
Nice.
And I'm only going to say possibly because I'm not pushing it, but possibly a profit as well for that. And the agreement would be, let's just say, for instance, we were doing this service and all of a sudden 3 districts decide to drop it for whatever reason. And now we're only making $50,000, then the agreement we would have with Kevin and Robert would be, they would only make $50,000. In other words, we wouldn't have to make up the difference for that. So, not that it's like nobody wants to do it, then they're going to obviously retire for good, and we'll have to come up with something else. But so that's a Reader's Digest version of this. So as a district, we would own this service. We would offer it to, we're not going to offer it to everybody because they don't have the time to do everybody. But we would offer it just to districts that they already have relationships with, and possibly 1 or 2 others that we think would be very interested in having either some of their time or part of their time. It might be like an a la carte kind of thing with that. But at the end of the day, this service, by providing this service to other districts, it would give us the same service for free, right? And or a profit to the CA. In other words, we're not gonna end up paying for this, basically. How it works.
Working with Robert in the past, I think he's an asset to have.
But he's got a lot of experience,
Yeah.
you know, and stuff. Yeah, got to pull him in now and then, but but that's just even less on that in a good way. But it's you know, it's a service that we utilize a lot. It's you know, I said this, we've not had a grievance in this district in a long time. You know, and that's you know partly you know working with them, and then what's very good now is he has a very good relationship and hard not to with our NICET rep. In other words, the representative, the LRS, who represents all the bargaining units in our school district, Mark Dwyer. They just have a good relationship. I have a good relationship with Mark too. I think Leslie knows he's a good guy. You know, in that regard. So that's helped immensely as well. You know, because he can you know work on the other side when he needs to. And things in that regard. So you don't want to mess that up if you can help it. Those of you who've been around long enough, you know that wasn't always that before I got here. Wasn't always that way. And you had some strife and some contracts that were signed that you got things, or maybe you didn't get things you thought you were, and such like that. So, so we want to make sure we're keeping the good relations we have with our bargaining units, you know, contraction and such like that.
Would their contract specify how many districts they would handle? Or is that just left open-ended?
That we could have we could have a conversation about, because like you said, I want them to spread out too thin.
Right.
At the same time, I don't think they want to be spread out too thin. Just because they're retired, you know, it's, you know, did that.
Is that something that would be included in our contract with them, or?
Yeah, or it would be that you could say, let's say six, you can have up to 6 districts, and any more we have to agree to. You know, because there's a difference between representing Niskayuna versus, you know, Whitehill, you know, there's a number of units and et cetera, et cetera. So, so it might be a matter of that, you know, they may pick up a Hunter Tannersville or something, which, you know, but again, same time, the small districts sometimes can have a lot of phone calls being made with some of the big ones, so it all depends.
The other thing, I'm sorry, other thing with these contracts is it's just cyclical. So they may have a lot at one time, and then other times they may not have that much. So I don't think it's something that you'll see them working 20 hours a week every week. It's going to be certain times of the year where there's a lot of work going on, and other times when there's not anything going on. So a lot of flexibility.
But we get first dibs.
Yeah.
And you're saying that we're currently paying $25,000 for the service.
Yes.
So even if we made $40,000, that would break us even what we already have in our budget.
Yes.
Okay. Because I just don't want to spend more money.
Oh, no, well, we're not gonna spend any
We're
more.
cutting.
Actually,
So-
if, in a sense, we're gonna save 25,000.
Okay. I mean, as long,
Well, yeah,
I don't want to,
No, I agree.
let's go spend 65,000,
No.
it could be 75, I don't know what.
Yeah.
right,
As we're cutting our own faculty and
Right.
staff.
nope.
But if we're already paying 25, that's already set in our budget,
Yes, it is.
and you can guarantee that it won't cost us more than that,
Mhm.
I think I would be fine with that.
But, right, what it would be is, I wanna make sure, we wanna be clear on it. So it may cost more, but we're gonna get the money.
That's what I
Basically,
said, I don't know what your numbers is, but as
Right.
long as we're not spending more than 25,000 on
we're
it,
gonna-
I would be fine
our-
with that.
Our objective is.
our objective is zero.
I know
zero.
that, but,
Yeah, no, I say our
There's reality.
objective, if we won't do it if it's not.
okay.
I guess is the point. So, and they, yeah, because, again, we have a good relationship with them, and they want us to be the host district, so to speak. They trust us, which is good in that regard. So, like I said before, let's just say they can only drum up $40,000 worth of business, then we're not gonna have to pay more than 40,000. So it's still zero.
Okay,
The cost to us is zero. But we get their service.
okay, and you're saying that we don't owe their pension, salary,
Correct.
health insurance, retirement costs,
Right,
because
so it's
it's already
just
grandfathered
salary.
in the third.
So that's all taken care of through retirement and stuff like that. So our only cost is salary.
Okay.
It's in FICA,
And FICA, yeah, so that's added in, that'll be
part of
part of
the
the
equation.
yeah.
One of the other things that you always have in the contract too is like a termination clause, like 30-day notice for any reason, you know, so if it's not working, we would have something like that, and we could go back on and say, well, it's not working for us, so. But I don't see any reason why it wouldn't.
We're protected from liability. Is there any liability for us?
It's a good question for the lawyers.
Yeah, I talked to our school attorney, he didn't, I said, is there any red flags with this? He said, no, with that kind of thing. No, like, let's say they were negotiating with, you know, Minerva School District or something like that. Minerva can't come back and sue Coxsackie-Athens.
Wonder if a school district signed up with us and one of these two individuals decided to leave the service,
Right,
and we would replace that person with another,
we could, yeah.
and we were, would we have to change the contract we have with that school? Because one person left here, I wouldn't think so.
Well, no, they're gonna be purchasing a service from us, they're not gonna be purchasing people.
People.
Yeah, good question, yeah. Yeah, good question, they're gonna be purchasing a service from us. So yeah, let's just say, like Robert used the example today, if he wins the lotto, he's total, but you know what I mean, but if he's, you know, they decide they wanna not do as much or get out of it, yeah, then we would be able to, if we want to, find somebody else to replace them and continue the service.
So this should happen tonight?
It can, it doesn't have to, but I mean, if you're comfortable with just creating the service tonight, and then that'd be up, because we haven't got, I'm not gonna ask you to appoint them yet to the position, but if you wanna just create the labor relations service that would be inclusive of 2 labor relations specialists. So you create the positions, and then we'll draw up the contracts with our school attorneys, you know, dotting the i's, crossing the t's and everything. Then we can bring them back, and you can approve those later in the summer. You can appoint them.
Are our attorneys working on this now?
Well,
I mean, not tonight, but.
not tonight, but they're waiting, yeah.
Waiting for the.
Yeah, I called them, when I talked to them today, you know, and I know their history, they used to do the same thing through their own law firm, actually. So I called them and asked if they had intermunicipal agreements on file. Yes, they do, from their founder, so. It's old, but yes, they would create the intermunicipal agreements for us, as well as draw up our contracts.
So, stepwise, this would we'd have to approve, and then that would happen.
It would-
They would draw up something that we would look at.
So I said,
It's not like the lawyers would draw up something that then we would look at. First step is for us to say, yes, we want this service. Then it goes to the lawyers who draw up the contracts.
and then we'll bring those
Versus-
back, yeah. So basically by tonight, if you were to say, we're gonna create a labor relations service that has 2 positions, and then that's all you need to do. There's no commitment yet. You're not signing on anything yet. There's no commitment, so.
Okay.
And then I'll come back to you with all the agreements and such, and more specific numbers, and as best we can, and then you can A or nay it at that point.
So we would vote on creating it tonight. And then we can go.
And that'll help us
Yeah.
solicit the other school districts. They'll know that it's legit.
I'd like to make a motion that the Coxsackie-Athens School District creates a labor relations service based on, includes 2 management confidential positions of labor relations specialists of Robert Zorden and Kevin Herron.
We don't want names yet.
No?
Just want to create the positions. Yep.
Includes 2 management confidential positions of labor relations specialists. Any other parameters that we need to set?
Need a second? You second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay. Round the table. This is where we just go around the room with the board members and see. Generally, what we've done now is we try to be positive and talk about positive things that we see and experience about the school and the district was kind of a strength-based approach to what we do. So that's what we do now, so. Jamie, we don't have to say it. It's up to you.
I just want to congratulate everyone that's retiring. Usually we do it at the meeting and they get their cute little plant, but I don't even think we recognize them at any of our board meetings this year.
Through a Google Meet is all we got, so we'll try to
Okay,
get
but I
them
don't
back.
know
Whenever we
all
can
the
get them back, we'll
names
get
and,
them back.
okay, so I just want to congratulate all the, including Judy.
Yeah.
So thank you for all your service.
I'll move on this one.
I would say congratulations to the seniors. I know there were a couple that I know that were kind of on the cusp, and I was pushing buttons to make them so that they would hand their paperwork in, because, you know, it was important that they graduated this year. It was an interesting year, but I got text messages that they passed and were graduating, so I was, you know, very excited for them and cheering for them from home, so that was.
We had one at
very
3 o'clock, right, Dr. Mercer?
About 3 o'clock on graduation day.
Okay, See, I got information like the Wednesday before graduation, so I was pretty happy that they didn't wait to the last absolute moment, but hey, all right, 3 o'clock.
Just tip my hat to everybody who's involved in getting graduation put together. A lot of districts weren't able to pull something together at the last minute and actually have the kids either the space or the whatever. And I think it meant a lot to the community to be able to at least have something in person. And I know it took a lot, and it was a lot of lifting by a lot of people, but well done for
And my comments were similar to David's. Thank everybody, administrators and staff for putting on a graduation for our seniors. And, it's been a long time since I sat one out, and 17 years I've been there, so I sat on my patio watching it on the screen, so good job by everyone.
Okay, I don't know if this is a stupid idea or not, but, okay, I walk all around, I see the graduate signs, graduate list here. Obviously, I live on Sunset. I thought maybe for coming into the school year, we could have signs like welcome CA staff and students, or you know, thank you, or just something, because it was such a hiccup, you know, an interruption for, you know, and I don't know, we could just do it down Sunset or all over, you know, because I'm thinking of houses already that would have signs, but just like a welcome and we appreciate you, and hey, thanks for, you know, sucking it up and whatever the word is, but
Teachers to come back.
yeah, but just like a thank you for powering through whatever you want.
Yeah.
But it might be nice, like as they're driving down the street, like, hey, welcome back and thanks for hanging in there.
So they have these, like, when they hopefully come back in September.
Yeah, well, that's all I'm thinking.
That's a great idea.
Yes.
Leslie?
No, just, this is Judy's last board meeting,
Right.
and she's been here forever with me, but big shoes to fill. Michelle is here under her tutelage, and she will be sorely missed by all of us in the district office, but she's really the glue that keeps things together, so I just want to shout out to Judy and thank you for
Thank
everything.
you, Judy. You doing great.
I don't know if anyone's seen what Margaret Schmidt has done at EJA in the lower level with the lockers. I believe she posted something somewhere. She had paint donated. She took all the hardware off all the lockers in the hallways, and then had paint donated from Lowe's, and did all the work on her own. Painted in different colors just to brighten it up. So maybe you could send, the board could send a thank you letter to her or something, just in her own time. So it was very nice of her to do that.
I think the aides and assistants help with that.
Did
kind of
you? Yeah.
thing. That's my understanding.
Oh, that's neat.
To make it minimally 2 coats, maybe a 3rd coat in some parts.
Yeah, it's
Because
gonna do that.
that wood was just so old, it's
So the
yeah.
Do you have pictures? I've seen pictures, but do you have pictures that you can send out to all of us?
Yeah,
I think I have, Jim sent me 1 or 2, so I'll dig them out.
I saw on Facebook, but.
Okay, I just have a couple of things. One is the open meeting law, and there was a waiver that allowed us to have meetings and there wasn't a public present, but this is the first meeting, obviously, that we're all together, and I think we should start thinking about, because I know a lot of our comments and questions have gone through email because we don't see each other directly, and we should probably go back to where we were, where we direct them, maybe to me, Mike, and Randy, so that, because if we get discussions on email, I think that risks violating the open meeting law. So I don't know when that waiver will end or if it has, but I think we're getting closer because we're here. So I just want to make that observation. I think the other thing, Judy, Michelle, I'm really glad that you're here. Soak up everything you can. As you can see,
trying.
As you can see, I'm always asking you, what about this, what about this? So you've been a great support for me personally, and I know for the board too. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I wish you a lot of good times camping.
Yeah.
So, and again, too, the staff and administration to go through this last 3-4 months is incredible. Like you said, David, to pull off the graduation as it did, to pull off the remote learning as people did. And I saw some of the classes online, and they were just as perky and engaging, and the kids were laughing, and parents were helping in the background for the younger kids, and you could see them, in the background, and it just was really nice to see. I hope, like everybody, that this comes to an end real soon, so that people can get back to normal. But it's been a heck of a year to come through. And then I know that some of the data has even shown that kids still progressed to the levels that people had hoped they'd be, even without those 3 months. So that's terrific too. Think of where everybody could be if we'd had those 3 months of person-to-person teaching. So, and thank you for your confidence in me for another year as your president. I'll try to do my best. Okay. Establishment of future meetings. So we'll have the July 23rd board-only meeting here at 6 o'clock. And August 20th, your idea, Tara, of having a board and admin after that
24th.
meeting on August, July 24th, on August 20th. Okay, now there's a proposed executive session, but I know, does anybody need an executive session to discuss any minutes? Are there any questions about the minutes from past meetings or the committee minutes that we would need an executive session for?
I have one.
None.
Any
Did you
special
I
ed
have none.
questions? Because that was also to go over any special ed questions you may have.
Yeah, any questions?
If you don't, we could just approve them out here.
Right.
Any questions about summer school?
So we wish you the best, Katie.
I am.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, if we're okay with that, then we can move on and approve the minutes. We just have a motion of consent to approve the minutes of the special ed minutes, marked 4 dates and the
Second.
board meetings. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So carried. Thank you very much.